What do you think of the Democrats boycotting Netanyahu's visit?
Stupid.
We're here with Brent Bozell from the Media Research Center. Hi, Brent. How disappointed are you that Chris Matthews will not be hosting or moderating any Republican debates next fall?
Oh, I'm brokenhearted.
Yeah.
I'm brokenhearted. Look, I'm so thankful that Republicans under Reince Priebus have finally woken up to the fact that you can't moan and groan and complain about the way you're treated at these debates when you select the moderators of these debates. I'm so excited about the idea that they are now reaching out to others. Hugh Hewitt and Salem are going to be moderating one of the debates. That's terrific. It's terrific that Republicans are finally saying they're not going to put up with that.
What do you think other news outlets can learn by the collapse of MSNBC?
Well, there's no market. You know, I believe in market economics, and if you look at sheer market economics, look at talk radio. There is no such thing as a successful national liberal talk show host because you have to have a market. There's no market for it. Look at MSNBC. MSNBC has, I checked, their daytime 24 or 25 to 54 audience in a nation of 310 million is 55,000. No one's watching this network. So who gives a hooey about what MSNBC is saying? I think it's remarkable that they would rather go down in flames than surrender their ultra-radical agenda. Tells you something.
Do you think Ronan Farrow should be forced to give back his Walter Cronkite Award?
Oh, what an idiot. Look, I mean, this guy, you just look at him and you say, did you or did you not finish high school? This guy was so not ready, not just for prime time, but for high school television. He was a mockery, and the idea was, well, he's kind of good looking, he's going to bring the hip younger set, which might be successful if you had any talent, of which he had none. So the Walter Cronkite Award, by the way, I thought it was very interesting. He was given this lifetime award, and he was, 11 when he did it?
Your business is studying liberal bias in the media. In your opinion, if you could say who is probably the most liberally biased newscaster out there right now, could you name one?
I would say that, believe it or not, the number one is the one who's gone, Brian Williams. From this standpoint, not that he was responsible for left-wing screeds, but he had the number one rated talk newscast in America. If you watched him interview Barack Obama, nobody fed more softballs. I mean, it was as if he was doing the PR for Obama when he interviewed him. Where conservatives were concerned, he simply refused to include them and certainly refused to include any criticism of Barack Obama. So it was a subtle, ultra-liberal agenda that he had.
Brent Bozell, thanks for your time. Okay, take care. Thank you. We're here with Colonel Allen West. Thank you, Colonel.
Thanks for having me.
What do you think is going to be the result of the Obama administration's policy regarding ISIS?
Well, first of all, you have to have a policy regarding ISIS for me to answer that question. There is no policy. When you look at his authorization for military force, it is restrictive. It does not go far enough, but it does tell the enemy that we're going to stop after 3 years, whatever we say that we're not going to do. So my biggest concern is if you're going to defeat an enemy, and Sun Tzu said this in The Art of War, you have to know the enemy and understand the enemy. And if we have an administration that is not willing to accept the enemy for who they are, let me be very clear, ISIS is not Islamic. I guess they're Presbyterian or Mennonite or Southern Baptist. You have to understand the ideology in order to defeat it with your information systems, and we're not doing that.
What do you think the left's reaction to the American Sniper movie says about their position regarding the military?
Well, the thing about the American Sniper movie, it brought out the human side of our warriors that were in that combat zone, and the left put so much time, effort, and resources into demonizing the Iraq War, and for them to see that movie is now the highest grossing ever war movie in the history of the United States of America. I mean, think about that. Think about some of the incredible war movies that this country has produced, and it's the highest grossing. They don't like that message. They don't like that portrayal.
What do you think of the chances Barack Obama will eclipse Dwight Eisenhower as the greatest military leader to ever sit in the White House?
You're kidding me, right? Yeah, I mean, it's an oxymoron to call him a commander-in-chief. I think, we have to be very concerned that this country is being run by the modern-day version of Rasputin, and that's Valerie Jarrett. And maybe one day after this administration has gone by, we will get to know the truth about what happened in 1600 Pennsylvania.
Colonel West, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care. All right. Okay, we're here with Dan Bongino. Hi, Dan. Anyone in particular of the speakers impress you so far? Who impressed you the most?
And I hate the political answer. Oh, they all have, but I think some of the standouts. Scott Walker, I thought Ted Cruz's Q&A with Sean yesterday, Hannity was really good. I thought Carly Fiorina opened up some eyes. As a matter of fact, I listened to her on a couple stations this morning. It was great off the cuff. Listen, we got a great bench this year, and I think 2016 is. I know I've said it before, but this is definitely our year.
As a former Secret Service agent, what do you think of the change that's gone on there? The person who's been appointed the full-time director. How do you feel the direction of the agency is going now?
Well, I would have preferred an outsider, but Joe Clancy, I worked for Joe Clancy for a long time on the President's Protective Detail. He was the special agent in charge. Joe Clancy is, if there was an insider to be picked, he was the guy. Impeccable character. I mean, a reputation literally second to none. I mean, he's done every job in the Secret Service, has done it well, has the trust of the President of the United States. And they used to call him Father Joe because there was a rumor he was going to be a priest before he went into the Secret Service. I don't know if it's true or not, but he's just a wonderful guy, and I think they've turned the corner for the better. My heart's always with them. I mean, I'll always be a Secret Service agent first.
Now, we saw Larry Hogan won the governorship in Maryland, where you're based. What do we need to do to start turning some of these traditional blue states red?
Well, Larry Hogan was smart because what he did is he realized quickly that the Republican Party doesn't have a message problem, okay? It has a marketing problem. There is a huge difference. In other words, Larry Hogan didn't run on the Democratic line like, you know what, we may hike taxes just a little bit and they're going to hike them more, so vote for me. He ran on this, no, the economy stinks because we've hiked taxes, and he won, and by the way, a rout. He won by 4 points, which is in a 3-1 state. So Republicans listening to this, who are interested in liberty, interested in conservatism, frankly, I couldn't care much about the Republican Party. It didn't do much for me. I care about actual Republicans. There's a difference. We need to remember our message matters. People spend their money better than the government. They want to pick where their kids go to school, and they want to pick their own damn health insurance. Stop changing the message, thinking the message has a problem. Just learn to market it better. There's a huge difference there.
Dan Bongino, thank you very much. All right, take care. Is there any legitimate strategy you think that can come of the administration's approach to Iran and the nuclear program?
Well, I think the strategy they're pursuing now is going to guarantee an Iranian nuclear weapon. It's only a matter of when the Iranians decide to do it. I think these negotiations were doomed to failure the minute that the administration conceded that Iran had a right to a peaceful nuclear program. I wouldn't trust those people with a spare electron. So the most likely outcome in the Middle East now is that Iran will get nuclear weapons. The only other alternative, I'm sad to say, is that somebody uses military force against the Iranian program. It won't be the United States under the Obama administration. That's why the spotlight's on Israel.
How long do you think it'll take to undo the damage that ISIS is causing in that region of the world with the next administration in office?
Well, look, I subscribe to what Churchill said about the Russian Revolution. He said we should have strangled Bolshevism in its cradle. That's what we should do with ISIS. We can still do it, but we're losing time. And every day that goes by allows them to consolidate their control over the territory they now hold. And as they do that, it gets harder and harder to dislodge and destroy them. It means it's raising the human cost, whether it's for us or somebody else. Otherwise, you're going to have a new terrorist state in the region. It already is a magnet for jihadis. Estimates are that there are 4,000 European or American passport holders in ISIS territory now being trained in terrorist and military activities who could come back to this country on legitimate passports, not forgeries, their own passports, and be a terrorist threat here, added to the terrorist threat we already have as described by the FBI director.
Would you be interested in a Secretary of State position in the next Republican administration?
First I've got to decide whether to run for president myself. We'll see what happens. Okay, thank you.
We're here with Michelle Malkin. Hi, Michelle. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Okay. What do you think, what can we make of the fact that the GOP in the Senate and the Congress, basically their reaction to the net neutrality rule, that there was very limited opposition to that? I mean, what are we supposed to make of that?
A lot of people here in D.C. are asleep at the wheel. I think that's one thing. And then the other thing, of course, is when everything's being thrown at the wall by the left, it's their strategy to have so many. They're like those Chinese plate spinners, right? And we're having to deal with so many different emergencies and put out so many fires. And this one slipped right through, and the left is very good at that. Right. I think also it was a matter of not having the same kind of grassroots, fierce activism that the other side had, and then there's the simple the simple matter of having to fight something that is called net neutrality. I mean, we're always involved in these Orwellian wars where it's a matter of defeating them on language before you even get to the policy.
It seems like there have been so many constitutional violations by this administration. What do you think are the most egregious ones?
Well, obviously the amnesty. It's a matter of national security. It's a matter of economic security. And he's been undermining the rule of law and immigration enforcement since day one. And what did he do this week? He threatened the very rank and file employees within the Department of Homeland Security if they decide to take matters into their own hands and do their freaking jobs. And where is the support from the GOP leadership for these people who are putting their lives on the line, literally, for us? No, I mean, we've got GOP establishment, open borders types who answer to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce instead of taxpayers and law-abiding Americans.
Why do you think Rudy Giuliani's comments irritated the left so much?
Because they're true.
Hi, we're coming to you from CPAC here. I'm with James O'Keefe. James, how are you today?
Great to be with you.
What has been the reaction to your latest video regarding Reverend Sharpton?
It's been good. We made every New York TV station in New York and front page of the Post, and people are excited, and we're ready to drop the next one soon.
I heard you say in an article that you were feared for your life after the release of this one. Has there been any reaction like that?
There's been some threats made over the weekend. That's what led me to tweet that out. I didn't realize that would be hyped up as much as it was, but when you do this type of reporting, it can sometimes be dangerous. The places we go can be hairy to get the story, and sometimes our people are put in danger.
Has it gotten easier or harder to do this type of work given the work you've done already?
I think it's gotten easier because we've built an undercover team, and I don't really do it anymore. I get others to do it. We train them, we recruit, we deploy them, and they bring us the story. So we have a good team, about a dozen guys going out there getting the material.
What would you say to people who say you're just looking to expose people on the left?
Well, in this case, these are not people on the left. These are not exposing. These are people who are victims of family members, tragedies, and Ferguson, Trayvon Martin Foundation, Staten Island guy who got chokehold by the cops. These families are talking about how they were impacted. And that's a very powerful thing. It's not a right-wing thing. It's just the truth. And the truth is not really left or the right, but we tend to focus on government programs and public officials. Right now, the White House is occupied by the Democratic Party, so that's what we're focused on.
You realize if you did all this against a Republican administration, you'd be showered with journalism awards by now, right?
Well, the Pulitzers and all these Peabodys, they're a private club for people who have the right credentials, but I'm not interested in journalism awards. I'm interested in impact.
Are you more motivated than ever to continue the work you've been doing?
Well, we're going to scale it for certain. We're trying to grow. We're here at CPAC for one purpose, and that's for recruitment, to bring people on to become undercover journalists in their own right. So that's what we're focused on.
Okay, James O'Keefe, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care. All right. We're here with former Attorney General Michael Mukasey. Hi, sir. How are you?
Well, thanks. How are you?
What would be your assessment of the Justice Department under the current administration over the last 7 years?
Well, let's just say that I've had my issues with it, and lots of them.
What would you say has been the greatest constitutional violation of this administration?
That's sort of like looking for hay in a haystack.
Is there something you point to as the grossest violation?
The grossest constitutional violation? I mean, certainly the blanket amnesty is one.
What about their position on Guantanamo Bay?
Well, I think the notion that they're going to close it come hell or high water is a huge mistake. I think Guantanamo has three advantages that no place in the United States has, and that it is remote, secure, and humane. And I think.
Did you ever consider waterboarding to be torture?
Well, I didn't. Before I read the memos dealing with it, I didn't know what precisely the technique was. When I read them, I concurred in the view that they had, which is that it was not, and I've held to that view since.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, take care. Hi, we're here for Liberty Drive Radio with KT McFarland. Hi, KT.
Hi there.
What do you think of the decision of some of the Black Congressional Caucus not to attend the speech of Benjamin Netanyahu this week?
Don't know anything about it. I think you always want to go listen to what everybody's got to say, and I think Netanyahu has the absolute right and, in fact, the responsibility to be there. He looks at the Middle East today and the potential of Iran being a threshold nuclear state and what that does to the region, which is ignite a nuclear arms race in the region. And I think if nobody else is worried about it, it's got to be on him to stand up and say what he believes.
What do you think is going to be the likely outcome of the administration's policy against ISIS in the Middle East?
Well, I think that even their own military officials have implied that it's not going to work. So what would work? I look at it as so much bigger than ISIS. And the debate that we're having, either the administration and they say, well, we're going to do some bombing. Oh, we're going to have a job seminar. Oh, well, maybe throw 1,000 troops in there. Or frankly, the conservatives who say, let's put tens of thousands of troops in to defeat ISIS. ISIS is only part of it. It's all of Islamic jihad. It's violent, radical Islamic jihad, which is committed to destruction of Western civilization. It's not just ISIS. It's Al-Qaeda. It's Al-Shabaab. It's at the Al-Nusra Front. And it's not only is their attack in the Middle East, but they want to spread throughout not just the region but the world. They really think it's okay. And in fact, it's their duty to kill Christians and Jews and atheists and religious minorities and mostly fellow Muslims to promote their idea of twisted brand of violent radical jihad.
What do you think of the administration's reluctance to use the term radical Islam?
Well, if you see no evil, if you hear no evil, if you speak no evil, then you don't see evil. But this is evil, and the fact that they don't acknowledge it, I think means it's very difficult to have a plan to defeat it. But it also means they don't need to because they don't think there's a problem. So if you don't have a problem, what do you need a plan for?
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.